Hello, my name is Bruce Norman. I'm the manager of Salisbury Water, the recycled water business unit for the City of Salisbury. We typically harvest about 3.5 gigalitres of urban stormwater each year, and on average we sell about 2,500 megalitres or 2.5 gigalitres. Roughly half goes to our own sports grounds and open space, such as what you see behind us. The other half goes to industry and schools. This is Site 1, the start of the Unity Park Wetlands and Marsh Scheme. So we're at the harvest point on the Dry Creek. From a urban stormwater harvesting point of view, it's extremely good. Even on quite low rain events, we can get quite good runoff from the impervious catchment. So this is our third largest harvest scheme, typically 600 to 700 megalitres per year, but scope to increase that to about 900 to 1 gigalitre. And that's what our aim is over the next few years, is to continue developing the capacity of this scheme. Across all of our schemes, we remove typically 400 to 500 tonnes of debris, so tree branches, but also litter. And that's one of the benefits of the stormwater harvesting, is that it gives us a chance to actually remove a lot of that pollutant before it gets down to the marine environment. The big driver for stormwater harvesting is to get water at a lower cost to keep our city green. But some of the other benefits are that we also get to remove a lot of that pollution in the process.
Okay, we're at Unity Park in Paraka in the northern suburbs of Adelaide, and this is one of the Salisbury's major stormwater harvesting sites. And this site's interesting in that it brings water from Dry Creek. Water's either fed by gravity or pumps to an inlet pond that you're standing on now, and then from the inlet pond, water is distributed through a gravity network and actuated valves, either to bring it through the wetland system you can see behind us here, or to transfer it further down to a series of biofilter cells which we'll visit soon. Okay, so water is distributed from this big pit, and from here water then flows through gravity to a network of just purple pipes with holes drilled all the way through them, which sit around the perimeter of each biofiltration cell. So water then flows out through those holes, percolates down through the media, and then it's collected in the perforated pipes underneath. The water then all comes together and it flows further down the hill to what becomes the injection station, where it's actively pumped into the aquifers, which are distributed up to about a kilometre and a half away from here. So it's quite spread out, but essentially, other than harvesting from the creek with pumps, everything else to operate this system for treatment is through gravity. So this is Site 3. This is the outlet of the biofilters. So all of the treated water from the biofilters comes out through these big PVC pipes, and it's rigged up for quite a bit of research and investigation. So we can take water quality samples, we measure the flow rate from each cell, and the cells are all configured differently, so we can look at the influence of different things like having carbon in the saturated zone. We also use different plants and surveyed the plants over a number of years of the growth rates. So we've written a few research papers on that, and the outcome was most of the water quality is good regardless of those configurations. And the overall was that the water quality coming out of the biofilters is easily good enough for injection into the aquifers.
We're in the middle of summer, so these biofilters haven't seen rainfall for a good 10 to 12 weeks. But what we're trying to do here is dress them up a little bit, make them more attractive for the community. So the water in the waterfalls here is just being recirculated through the biofilter beds. The wetlands have that natural advantage, with the larger water volumes, much lower overall maintenance to keep them looking good. Maintenance-wise, we do probably spend 3 to 4 times the amount of effort on keeping the biofilters in reasonable condition. So overall, the big benefit of the biofilter is that it's a much smaller footprint. You can squeeze it into spaces where you may not be able to fit a wetland, but you do pay for that benefit in the increased maintenance levels. It really comes down to your objective. The wetland to get much more functional, gives so many more social benefits, community benefits, but if you've got no other choice, then the biofilter still works very well. You just have to be prepared to put in the work. This is site 4. From the wetlands and biofilters, the water is pumped down to our well field here, and so we've got 9 MAR wells, MAR meaning managed aquifer recharge. So it's a linear well field plus 1 reserve well back at the wetland site. At the moment we're only operating 5 of the 9 wells, so we only build up the capacity of the scheme as we get customers. One of the unique aspects of this scheme is that we're supplying to homes, so we need to be at in-house standard. So typically coming straight out of the MAR wells, we are at irrigation water standard, but in this instance we bring the water into the first tank that you can see behind us, which we call the dirty water tank. And then we do put it through a filtration process, an ultrafiltration process, and we add a touch of chlorine. We spend several $100,000 per year on water quality monitoring. So most of that's on the actual environmental monitorings. We have EPA licenses for each injection site. So it's quite a stringent water quality monitoring program that's required before we can actually inject. So that water that's coming off the wetlands and biofilters has to be tested before we can actually inject it into the aquifer. On the recovery side, we also spend a lot of money just checking the quality. So it's essentially the quality assurance. Australian Water Quality Centre, AWQC, are the primary contractor that provides services to us for the QA side of things. So cleaning our instruments, calibrating our instruments and taking samples and getting it analysed by their labs. All right, so behind me is the membrane ultrafiltration unit. So as I said, we only do this when we're supplying in-house. So our irrigation water supplies don't have this extra treatment stage. So going in-house, just that bit of extra treatment to remove the colour. And then to my right is the distribution pump station. So only 4 pumps at the moment. So it's designed to be expanded out to 6 pumps, but as we pick up more customers, we add extra pumps on. All right, so this is the main control room for the Unity Park wetlands biofilters and the managed aquifer recharge wells. So we have Siemens PLCs at all of our sites, and we have ignition SCADA sitting over the top. So all of the data from these site PLCs are sent back to a server at the council's chamber, and operators can log on to their laptop to manage pretty much everything from site. So there's not a great deal of need to come into these control rooms except for routine maintenance, cleaning and calibrating instruments and checking everything's running okay. So I have just 3 operators on a 24/7 roster that monitor the SCADA system and operate everything remotely.